we've taken the approach of trying to make that technology more accessible. There's a few challenges, though, right now in the photo editing space. One is, for those of you that have used Photoshop, it can be pretty expensive. The second thing is it can be pretty difficult to use, to learn how to use. And the third thing is that the folks that have innovated in the space and created a more cost-effective solution, the technology may be too basic to really add value to your photos. So Aviary, a few years back, set off on the mission to try to make that technology better and more accessible, and they did a really good job with it. They actually created a product called Phoenix, which sits in the cloud, and we have over 1 million people that are subscribed and using that product day to day. And it's effectively a Photoshop competitive technology. And that went, I would say they got a good step there. What we found is actually that didn't complete the equation because there's one other challenge with technology that edits photos, and that the workflow is broken. For you to take a photo, you then have to go do something with that photo, bring it back to your computer or your phone or something, edit the photo, and then hope that you remember to go back into what you were doing originally. And so we've tried to create great photo editing technology that's easy to use, that anyone can use, that works well, but also that completes the workflow, that sits in line with what you were doing. And so we've effectively changed from being a destination site to a platform that any developer, whether you're building a website or a mobile application, can use. And so that's kind of what we think is really differentiating the Aviary right now. So today we have something technology that third-party developers can use if they're working on the iPad, on the iPhone, Android. We also have an HTML5 web product. And then this week is really the start of us trying to complete that picture with who we think will be a very strong contender in the mobile market, which is the Windows Phone platform. So before we show you anything about that, the Windows Phone, I just want to give you a kind of quick view of what the technology does. So this is a screencast, but it shows our editor popping up and letting you perform some, I would say, fairly basic tasks just to edit your photo and make it more appealing and more accurate. So there's cropping, resizing, rotating, all of the basic editing tools that you might expect happening with this photo. We also have some pretty clever scientists at Aviary that sit all day, every day, and think of really great filters and effects that they can apply to their photos. And one of those things is, I'll show you a few effects here, making it just more attractive. So you've used or seen sites like Instagram. People love to make their photos more aesthetically pleasing and interesting. And so we have a number of effects on our platform that developers can pick and choose and decide whether or not they want to integrate that into their applications. One of the most, I would say, highly needed and most common requests we get is actually just to quickly improve my photo. Just make it look nicer so I can get on with whatever I'm doing. And so we actually spend a lot of time working on different abilities to automatically enhance a photo. So here's a photo that it was dim, the histogram was a little bit off, the colors weren't popping. And so we've got different auto-enhance effects that you can apply, whether or not the photo was taken at night and it's just too dark, or it's in the day and it's oversaturated, etc. So the vision here, just to kind of paint it for you, is that any developer that's building an app would take the SDK, pop it into their app, and all of a sudden, all of their users get access to photo editing. The great thing about it from a developer's perspective is the user never has to leave the app. And we know from our data that means they actually spend quite a bit more time in your app, almost 2 minutes more per session, which is obviously great because you don't run the risk of them leaving your app and not coming back. So I think with that, we'll just hand it over to Ari to show you a little bit about what we're doing on Windows Phone in 2.5 days. So it's not a lot, but like I said, it's kind of a start.
All right. So we built just the basic framework of functionality, and UI is still in flux. So this is what it looks like right now. What you're looking at right now is think of it as someone else's app. So this is their part of the app. They have a control where they choose the image. Once the image is chosen, our tool is launched. They call code in our SDK to launch our app with that image data. From there, they can do simple things like brightness, adjust the brightness on that image, and right now we implemented brightness and contrast. So they choose the image, they make their changes, they save it, and the image is sent back to the application. That's about as far as we got this week, but that's been a good portion of my time porting those effects to the .NET platform for use on the Windows Phone. So I'm very excited to see where that goes.
So if we have any questions, happy to take them. Yeah.
So are you creating a copy and then altering the copy? Is there an original, are you altering the original document, the original photo?
We're editing a copy of the image, yeah. So we're editing a copy of the image in memory, and then we're giving that a bitmap object back to, or IO stream back to the host application, and they decide what to do with it. So if the app is giving you, if it's part of an app that's uploading that image to the web, they wouldn't do anything to the original image necessarily. They just get send that updated image, and alternatively they could save it back to your image library.
And what kind of file formats can you export to?
Can we export to? Right now it's well, this is exporting to PNG. We can support pretty much anything that it can convert to.
The transparency is included.
Yes. Yes.
We also have Deirdre, who's our CTO in the audience, so he might help us.
Yeah. Where does your revenue come from? Did the developers pay for the SDK?
Yeah, so the good question is around what's the sort of the business model for this. The developers did not pay. We're a free product for third-party developers, and just to kind of help you understand why we're doing that, we want to make this product ubiquitous so that really to try to make better photos out there in the world. So we can't do that, in our view, if we create a barrier for developers by charging them. That said, we obviously do have to think about how to make money, and the great thing about our platform is we are a potential additional revenue stream for our partners. What we do for our larger partners today, and hopefully over time for everyone, is we actually will create custom content with you based on what makes sense for your app, and then monetize that through in-app purchase or in-app purchase-like models, and then revenue share with you. So it's a great way to add additional sort of premium capabilities within your app without you having to actually do any development work.
So for the last year and a half, the entire photo space has been completely blown up and blown away by Instagram, and much like the SDKs that you guys have. But are you guys considering any of this for video? Because I think 2012 is, effect-based video is probably going to be a huge thing, right? Especially with more bandwidth, more Windows phones, smartphones, all sorts of smartphones in the market. Are you guys considering this for video?
So at a high level, what I can say is our vision is broader than photos. It's creative tools really for all devices in the cloud. That said, there are some practical limitations today, bandwidth as well as processing power. So even to apply advanced effects to a large photo, even the iPhone 4S or the latest Nokia phones are, it's a lot of processing power it takes to do that. So we, before we sort of pivoted as a company, we actually had a product that was working with video, and so we do intend, when the time is right, think about how that maps to mobile, but we don't think that time is quite yet. So we're going to watch the space closely.
Follow up?
Yeah.
So for the processing power, would you not just consider processing it in the cloud?
Yeah, so the question is, would you process in the cloud? And we actually, one of the things I did not mention is we do have a cloud API for our technology. And so if someone is going to do high-res editing, 20 megapixel file or something like that, and they want to print it out at, say, a Walgreens, we can actually ship that image into the cloud and perform all of the functions in the cloud so that you're working locally on a scaled-down version, but the cloud's working on a much larger version. The only challenge that model still faces is the task of getting that thing up into the cloud. So the bandwidth is still, in our view, a gating factor, but we have built the technology. Yeah.
How many developers use this now? Can you talk about it, or?
Yeah, sure. So we launched our mobile product about 2 months ago. Actually, just over 2 months ago, with about 30 partners. And now we have over 300 that have used it across web and mobile. So it's one of the great things about it being a free product. It's fairly self-service. It's great, well documented. Because a lot of people are picking it up and just using it. In fact, one of the other partners here, Tapit showed us when we first got here, and they wanted, they've already integrated it. We didn't ever even talk to them. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Good job.
We just have 4 companies left. We're